Hello and welcome to another in our series of informative videos presented to you by ShowSuite. In this episode, we imagine that after all the research and planning comes the day you are ready to purchase your new home. Now, let us explore the typical documentations and payment arrangements. New residential developments in Singapore tend to be sold off plans or before they are built. In Singapore, a project developer who intends to sell off plans must secure a permit from the COH called the sale license. Under its terms, the developer must abide by prescribed sale documentation and payment terms for their project. Any changes, they are required to seek the COH's approval. These regulations are designed to protect buyers and standardize processes. It prevents a rogue developer, for example, from absconding with buyers' monies without delivering the home satisfactorily. Or, if the developer who fails to deliver the new project on time, they would need to pay liquidated damages to the buyer. So, are you ready to buy? Buyers are required to provide their personal particulars, a copy of their identification documents, and then required to read and acknowledge on a whole set of documents pertaining to the project, developer, and the unit being purchased. These documents contain pertinent information that the developer is required to disclose. Once they're all signed, the buyer would then be issued with an option to purchase. This sets out the property information, important dates, and the price and names of the buyers. The OTP is to be signed by the developer, not the buyers, in exchange for the first deposit or booking fee, which is set at 5% to 10% of the purchase price. Developers usually make it easier for buyers and opt for a 5% booking fee. The buyer would be delivered another set of documents called the Sale and Purchase Agreement, or SPA. This is also a standard document that spells out a detailed set of terms that bind the developer and purchaser. It would be good to have your lawyers run through it with you. At this stage, the buyer is still not bound to proceed. If the buyer does not exercise the option, the developer is entitled to forfeit 25% of the 5% booking fee, with the balance returned to the purchaser. For the buyers to proceed with the purchase, they need to exercise the option by signing the SPA documents and returning them to the developer's lawyers, strictly within 3 weeks from delivery. Once the option has been exercised, it amounts to a binding commitment on the part of both buyer and developer. And if the buyers back out, it would be a breach of the contract and they could be sued in court. When the purchasers exercise the option, they are required to make the second payment, a balance of 20%. Developers can offer buyers flexibility in stretching the timeline for this second payment to a maximum of 8 weeks from the date of the option. This flexibility takes into consideration that many buyers opt to draw down from their CPF funds for this, but they cannot use their CPF funds for the first payment. Are there other charges involved? Yes, stamp duties, which need to be paid within 14 days of the exercise of the option. Stamp duties are discussed in another video in this series, which will have details of how they apply. So, the initial 20% is paid, and now let's look at progress payments for the remaining 80%. Under the SPA, purchasers are required to make progress payments as and when the developer completes the different stages of the housing project's construction. So, you would pay the developers one installment when the foundation is built, one more when the walls are up, one more when the roof is finished, and etc. All these would be spelled out in your SPA. TOP refers to when the buyers receive their keys and may move in. Finally, is the Certificate of Statutory Completion when the titles are issued. Some developers also offer Deferred Payment Scheme (DPS), where buyers benefit from the flexibility of having more time to arrange their finances and possibly save on stamp duties for those looking to sell their homes beforehand. However, a DPS can only be offered by developers when the condominium has received its strata titles and CSC. The project is de-licensed and no longer under the purview of the controller of housing. I hope you learned something on payments and documentation for new homes. For details, please consult a lawyer or your broker. Do remember to check out ShowSuite's other episodes, all designed to help you make the best decisions for your new home purchase possible. For the latest new homes offerings, visit showsuite.com, designed for you to experience your new dream home before you buy it. ShowSuite. New homes, anytime, anywhere.